Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimindasya Jnanachalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Jayapataka Swaminati Namni. Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayani Gaur Kata Dhamdaya Nagar Gram Tarni. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namni. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvisesh Sunyavadi Paschata Deshtarne. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shvasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are in the third chapter, and we did the section yesterday about the Karma Kanda method of Krishna's verse, just to get faith in God and do everything with his sanction, because that will ensure our prosperity, and we can make gradual spiritual progress also. That is his, that's like the beginning, but that's not the ultimate. So we did up to verse 16. Yes, that is from 10 to 16 we did. And it was about how the Lord, when he created the Devatas and he created men. And he said that men should do sacrifice and please the demigods, and they will also satisfy you by giving all your necessities. And in this way, both of you can, because the Devatas also become strong by if we give these sacrifices. So that's good for them also. And they in turn will keep this thing, protecting, giving us. And he says regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice, because they're not just some rituals. You should not think of them as just rituals, but they are coming from Krishna. They're all manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So whatever we do in Krishna is there in that. But so now we'll go, and then 16th verse, Krishna also tells Arjuna, my dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. So those who, they don't understand how this is working, and they say, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in that. Who cares for our beliefs? It's no, but this is given. Everything is coming from God, and the scriptures are perfect. There are so many things which we cannot understand, which is beyond our experience, beyond experimental. You can't take decisions based on our own experience, because, for example, you may have thought, why in the villages, they take cow dung, and normally we say the stool of any living entity is very dirty. But why do they take the stool of the cow and they consider it so pure? They put it all on the floor of their houses. They make, not only that, they even have it, the panchagavya, that is the milk and the yogurt and the ghee and cow urine and cow dung are mixed together. Not only do we drink it, we also use it to bathe the deities. So we may think, oh, why is the Shastra saying like that? But then later on, now science, scientists actually found out the components of what this is, urine and stool of the cow, and they said that it's got such antiseptic properties that it's destroying all the germs. So that way, in so many things are mentioned in the Shastra, which the science later on discovered. Like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's already mentioned that the shape of the planets, and how everything, Earth is also round in structure, how all the planets are round, and they're all held by Krishna's energy. All that is already described, and Bhagavad Gita also briefly be mentioned. Whereas science, through experimental knowledge, it took them so many years, then the telescope, and then they were observing everything. Slowly only they knew that even then, what they know, I mean, Vedic astronomy is very, very perfect. They can predict what's going to happen so many years from now, because the mathematical calculations are perfect. So that's why it's all coming from Krishna. Now we are going, actually, this section is from 10 to 21, and we did 10 to 16 is about the Karma Kanda, Vedic rituals, why we should follow that. Now 17 to 21, we'll see about those who are actually Krishna conscious or self-realized, who are not attached to material things. But so he says, but for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who's satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. A person who's fully Krishna conscious, that is, and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness, no longer has any duty to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed, an effect of many, many thousands of yajna performances. So why we are doing yajna is because we're very attached to material things. We are, completely, we are, unaware of our actual position. So that is why we have to do yajna, so that gradually we can understand that I'm not the body, I'm the soul. So we get also material benefits by performing yajna, and it also elevates our consciousness. But if your already consciousness is elevated, fully Krishna conscious, then you don't need to perform these yajnas. That is, for the sake of karma kanda. That means just for your protection, I mean, for your prosperity. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-eliminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. This is what Prabhupada is saying. So that is the reason, because of getting a higher taste, a person who is, involved in understanding spiritual truths is not attracted to all these sinful activities, automatic. And that's why Prabhupada, when he went to the West, we see how um, people who were addicted to sinful activities just gave it up once they did the Sankirtana, they were chanting Hare Krishna and having prasadam and associating with Prabhupada, learning about the Bhagavad Gita. They thought, oh, why should I'm not getting any more pleasure from all those things. Before, intoxicants were the smoking and drinking and drug addiction, illicit sex, meat eating, all that was very much, they loved it. But the minute they got a higher taste by chanting Hare Krishna, then slowly all those things went away. And a fully Krishna conscious person, but to one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who's satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. So this is a person who has achieved perfection. Then text 18. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has any reason not to perform such work, nor has any need to depend upon any other living being. So, and Prabhupada explains, he is no longer obliged to perform any prescribed duty, save and except activities in Krishna consciousness. Here, Arjuna was told by Krishna to fight in the war, and that is why he was fighting. Krishna is telling, that is why you should fight, because I am telling you. He was trying to, argue on the basis of different, like karma kanda and all that. I won't be happy, so why should I do this? And so on. But Krishna said, no, because I want, that is it. Then you do it and everything will be perfect. Krishna consciousness is not inactivity either, as will be explained in the following verses. A Krishna conscious man does not take shelter of any person, man or demigod. Whatever he does in Krishna consciousness is sufficient in the discharge of his obligation. So what happens is, as we surrender to Krishna, we'll find that simply if you do what is Krishna conscious, everything else will be taken care of. Your duties towards your family, because Krishna is guiding Arjuna, and he only told him what is his dharma or duty as a family man, as a kshatriya, as a ruler with responsibilities. Krishna went as his own, as their doot, or as what do you call, um, what do you call them? One who's going on your behalf, right? He went as a messenger. Krishna went as the messenger of the Pandavas. So you can understand that Krishna is very much also involved with us in material life. So the next verse, he says, therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. So we have to have proper guidance and without attachment to the results of the work. Working without attachment is, you get knowledge, and so you're renounced. See, once you get the knowledge, how can you renounce without any knowledge? You'll think, why? I want, I want this. Why should I renounce it? It's enjoyable. Actually, knowledge and intelligence makes one's control one's senses. They did in America, they did a study on some children. Okay, the children were all kept in one room. They were all seated, and then they said, we are going to give you a sweet each, some cookie to eat. But those who don't eat immediately, who wait for about till the next cookie comes, they'll get double cookies. Okay, if you don't eat your cookie, you'll get one more. But if you finished eating one, then you won't get another one. And then they left the room. So there were some children, they couldn't resist at all. Immediately they had to eat. They didn't think, oh, I'll get one more and all that. They knew, but they thought, who knows whether they will give. I mean, they couldn't even think about all that. They just saw the cookie, they wanted to eat. And there were a few other children who thought, no, if I control my senses and I don't eat it now, I'll get one more cookie. So they waited, and then they kept track of these children as they grew up, what they became when they became older. And they found that those who could control themselves, they waited for the second cookie. They all rose up in their lives, and they reached greater heights than those who wouldn't have any kind of, what you call self-control. So we see how by doing things for Krishna, that requires a lot of self-control, isn't it? That not immediately doing whatever the senses want, but instead we do it for surrender. So Krishna says, surrender all your work to me. Have full knowledge of me. Do not desire to enjoy the profit. With no claims for proprietorship, do not be lazy and fight. So this is 17, 18, and 19. This is what Krishna is telling. In 17th verse, he's saying, but for one who takes, okay, this is the knowledge. For one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who's satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. So What is that knowledge? Knowledge is that I'm not the body, I'm the soul, and getting a higher taste from the soul. And he says, a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work. Okay, so it's not that you should not perform work. So the knowledge is, this is a person, the 17th and 18th verses talk about one who takes pleasure in the self. If such a person is not concerned with laws of gain while performing his duty, nor is he disturbed by obstacles. So if such a person is there, he's not attached to the result. So then should he work or should he stop work? And so in the 19th verse, Krishna is saying, therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. So this is the message of the Bhagavad Gita, that you should have knowledge. It's not that work is only for the attached person. We should cultivate knowledge and we should act, but in the mode of goodness, as a matter of duty. You know, those who are not convinced about their duty or don't have any knowledge, they have to be always bribed. Like for children, no, if you want to get them to do something, then we give them some lollipops, some kind of bribery. I'll take you out, please do this. They require it because they don't have knowledge. You know, one devotee, he said that when he was small, he was very lazy. He just was interested in eating. That's all. He loved eating. But his father was a great musician, and he saw some promise in his son, and he wanted him to do practice of music and all that. So what he used to do, and because he loved sweets, he loved eating, so he used to bribe his son. He said, if you come and practice today with me, then at the end I'll make nice halwa and give you. So he used to agree just for the halwa, and used to keep watching how long I have to sing, and then halwa will come at the end of the class. So like this, he bribed him. But then because of that, then he came and learned, and then he became a very good musician. So for children, they have to do that, because if you tell them, no, music is wonderful, if you learn, then later on, you got a lot of promise, you can do this. The children are not interested in all that. They just want to play. So the only thing that they understand is, if you come for this, I will give you something you like. But when they grow older, then what happens? They themselves understand they like music. Right? Nobody has to bribe them. I'll give you halwa, I'll take you out, I'll give you chocolates. That is for the less intelligent. So Krishna is saying you should cultivate knowledge and work because you love the work for its own sake, because you like to do something for the pleasure of Krishna. Not because you'll get something out of it, some lollipops you require. No. That is growing up, right? When you become mature, you go to school because you like going to school. You like knowledge. That is mode of goodness. Some people don't enjoy school at all. I'm going only because I need marks to get into university. That's the only reason. Why are you going to university? Because I'll get a job. See, all this is very, very fruitive, and they won't even enjoy what they're doing. Simply, they'll go to school just at the last minute, study so that they'll pass and they'll get a certificate. They're not interested in really getting knowledge, because it will enlighten me, and I can be really, I mean, any knowledge is very good. I'll know how to face the world. I'll know about so many things, how things work, like that. Knowledge for its own sake. Then you'll really enjoy that knowledge. Not that you go to school and just, oh, don't listen. Last minute, okay, tuition, something, I'll get marks. That is more of tamoguna and rajoguna. So Krishna is saying, don't act like that. Develop attachment, to the, develop knowledge about who you are. Then you'll start enjoying, and you'll work like this. Without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. Imagine, just by doing ordinary work, you can attain the supreme. So these are the things. Surrender all your work to me, have full knowledge of me, do not desire to enjoy the profit, with no claims for proprietorship, not that, oh, this work, I will get something out of it, or this is my talent, or this is my business. Don't. It's all given by God. So you don't unnecessarily have that attachment, and do not be lazy and fight. Okay, can you go to the next? Preeti? I don't know which one. Are you showing the third chapter or some other chapter?
This is third chapter only.
Okay. Then Krishna is saying,
Do you want to see the other sides?
yeah, go to the previous slides.
Yeah.
You've come very far. That's what.
Yeah. Okay. So this one.
There are 4 levels of work. But this is all second chapter.
No, Mataji.
Okay. This is what. So living only for senses is sinful. That's what we saw. That and said, yes. In the 16th verse, he says, my dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. So living only for the senses is sinful. And then in the next verse, he says, for one who is self-realized, there is no duty. And then in the 19th verse, he is saying, but still you have to do duty without attachment. You don't have to do it, but you still do it, because by doing so, you'll get the Supreme Lord. And then he's also giving role models, because for everything if some principle, if you have a role model, then we can understand and accept it also. So he's saying, kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. So Krishna is saying, if you give up your work and go to the forest, what will happen? Everybody will follow your example. Because Arjuna is a great leader. So, and then they will find themselves in difficulty, because they will all be externally renounced and internally absorbed in their material desires. So that is why he says that you have to set a proper example. And see, he's saying that King Janaka, he was also like you. He was not at all attached. And he attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Janaka had Sita as his daughter, so he was already a great devotee. But why did he do all the work? He was a king and he did all his duties perfectly. Why? Just for the sake of educating the people in general. So when we perfect ourselves, we should not be satisfied that anyway I am perfect. But what about the others? People constantly need role models and inspiration. So for that sake, if you do work just because Krishna wants you to do that, that's uplifting for us also, because we are satisfying Krishna, and also it is very inspiring for others. And we'll be selfless in our work because we are doing it only for the pleasure of Krishna. Yeah, can you go to the next one? Text 3.21. He says, whatever action a great man performs, common men follow.
What
And
is being selfless means? Because in this world, nobody is selfless.
in this world, if you connect with Krishna and you get a higher taste, and you're in the spirit, on the spiritual platform, you understand that I'm connected to Krishna, then you become selfless, because you are doing it for Krishna. Without Krishna connection, it's very difficult to be selfless. But if you are doing for Krishna, then that is real selflessness, because you're doing, I mean, it's actually only with Krishna we can be selfless. That is a fact. And that is why a Krishna conscious person, because he's not doing for himself, he's doing for Krishna. And his activities are all will benefit everyone. He is not thinking of himself at all. He's thinking only what Krishna wants, and that will be beneficial for everyone. That is why a devotee is selfless. It's all in connection with Krishna. Yes, some people may say, I'm doing a lot of charity work, I'm giving a lot of my hours for that. But it is better than those who don't do anything. But ultimately, if you see, why is he doing all that? So that he will get some material benefits. I'm giving a little bit now, later on I'll get much more, so that I will become prosperous, and then in my future lives also I'll get. So there is some self-interest in that. Or in this life only he wants name and
What
fame.
do you mean by doing it for Krishna? Is it like chanting, reading, or listening, or is it in we live in human society? So uh, I don't know how can we be selfless to the people. How much we do it, obviously selfless has no limits. I don't think so. Except Krishna, anyone is so great.
Yeah, so if you chant Hare Krishna and you do your duty, suppose you're going to work and you're satisfied with whatever, I mean, you tried your best, whatever job you get and whatever income comes. I mean, okay, I'm not saying that whatever they give you should keep quiet. Suppose that they are unjust, you can fight for, I mean, whatever your rights. But apart from that, you should not constantly compare yourself with others and say, oh, how much are they getting and why I'm not getting, all this sort of things, because then you're thinking about the fruits, right? So how do we be able, suppose you're chanting Hare Krishna and trying to please Krishna. Okay, okay, I'll do my duty very nicely, not only because, I'm getting the money. And if the boss is a little, he's not monitoring me, I won't do it properly. Or if I can get away with less work, let me get away. I won't give my full this thing. Nobody's watching, I'll cut corners. Not like that. We do our duty. We are paid for something. Okay, I will do whatever I'm supposed to do. Not too much, not over endeavor, but what you're supposed to do, you do it. And that's it. So that's what Krishna is saying. Don't be attached to the results. Don't become proud and puffed up that I did something. And then don't be lazy also. In this way, you'll be selfless. Because if you're doing like that, just doing your duty, that itself, people find it so difficult to do. How many people can you trust? I just told them they will do their job. You may be paying them also, but you know that you cannot fully trust them. You have to keep on monitoring. You have to put CCTVs to see that they're not, cheating. They're not taking bribes. They're not just chit-chatting, whiling away the time. How many people can you trust? Because they're all doing for their sense gratification. They'll think, okay, we'll just do minimum just to get our salary. So that is what Krishna is saying. Don't do like that. But if you see a devotee, who a proper devotee in an organization, he'll be doing his work, whether others are monitoring. The boss is not there. Oh, well, let's have fun. I mean, no, I'm supposed to work. Let me finish my work. He will not do like that, because he knows that Krishna is always there. Boss may be out, but Krishna is there. And that is the supreme boss. And he will not do anything which Krishna will not approve of. Because ultimately he knows he's working in order to please Krishna and achieve him. That's for a higher purpose. So he is self-controlled. So that is why I'm saying he is selfless, because he is not doing just for money alone, or whatever, some material motivation, but he's doing because Krishna wants him to do, and because to please Krishna. That's the difference. Is that okay, Shweta?
Okay, Mataji.
Okay. Then text 22. O son of Pritha, there is no work. So he's saying, for me also, he is giving his own example. O son of Pritha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems. That's God. As a God, he is not supposed to do anything. There's no reason. Nor am I in want of anything. Nor have I a need to obtain anything. and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. Krishna is God. He doesn't need to. He has to satisfy himself only. And but yeah, and now himself, Supreme Personality of Godhead, he needs nothing. He's the source of all. An entire universe can be created or destroyed just by his willing. And although he has no needs, Krishna is also acting according to the scriptures. Why? And that he answers in the next verse. He says, "For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path." So that is why common men will follow. The people only want follow examples, not example is better than precept, we say. Why? Because people just want role models. They'll do what others are doing. We are all actually, we are in one sense, we're all social animals. We're all copycats, right? That's how fashion industry works. One person wears something and they like it and everybody starts copying that. Although Krishna generally does not transgress scriptural instructions, he does so to please his devotees. So sometimes that we may think, okay, so Krishna, okay, he's saying that I'm also doing my prescribed duties in order to set an example. But some people say, oh, Krishna, na, he danced with the gopis, and then in the battlefield also he did some things like, he broke his own promise. He promised that he will not take sides, but then when Arjuna was attacked very heavily by Bhishma, he took up the wheel to go and kill Bhishma. So how can you say that he's always doing? So that may be normally Krishna does not go against scriptural injunctions. He does occasionally just to satisfy his devotees, to show that he is independent. He may follow rules, but out of his own choice. And if he doesn't want to, he can break the rules. He's independent. He is not bound by the laws that he has created for us, just to show that and to please his devotees. Because he wanted to protect Arjuna, and for that sake, he broke his promise. If therefore, sometimes Krishna's words and actions are different, then which one should we follow? Most people will follow his actions, right? They'll say, oh, you have to be, Krishna said that you have to be very self-controlled. You should not, go with other people's wives, all that. Illicit sex is wrong. But then, they're not wanting to follow that. They want, oh, Krishna danced with the gopis. I also will go and go to the dance with a lot of women. So no, he is God and he is doing on a spiritual platform. And they are all in their spiritual bodies. It's not like material lust at all. So that is why no one should imitate Krishna because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are the followers. We cannot just question him and do. So if there is a discrepancy between his actions and words, what should we follow? His words, his instructions to us, and we should not imitate him. Then he's continuing to speak about himself. He says, if I did not perform duties, oh, wait, we finished 10 to 21. And now in this section, he's using himself as an example that even God works according to scriptures in order to set the standard for others to follow. And he also shows, that is verses 22 to 32, 10 verses. He shows how a knowledgeable person should relate with those who don't have, with ignorant people. Devotee should encourage people by his words and engage. So if somebody is doing a duty, we should not say, oh, this is all karma, and make them stop doing work. But we should teach them how to do the same work with devotion to Krishna. So this is what we'll see in this 22 to 32. And we already saw how Krishna is using himself as an example. Text 24, if I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put in ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. So normally Krishna follows everything. And then what would happen? All these worlds, if everybody started thinking, oh, Krishna is not doing, so I also need not do. And he says, like when Lord Ram came, he did everything so perfectly, and so people feel inspired. That is the genuine people. The others, they just want to have Ramarajya without praying to him, without following his instructions. That is cheating. So he's saying that the whole world will be put into ruination, and I'll be the cause of creating unwanted population, those who don't follow any rules. And I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. So he's very mindful of that. Then, so now we go 4 levels of work, the yoga ladder. So it's not that immediately we come to the topmost platform. That's not possible. So we saw till now, in the 3rd chapter is entirely about Karma Yoga. Only because in the 2nd chapter, so many things were given. Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, everything was given. That's why Arjuna was confused. And here now, Krishna is only talking about Karma Yoga. How doing your duty with devotion for the Lord, for pleasing Krishna. So working only for fruits is Karma Kanda. That is different. Now it's Karma Yoga is Krishna is the goal, but still attached to the fruits and to the work. Sakama Karma Yoga. In Karma Kanda, we are attached only to the fruits, not to Krishna. No goal for Krishna. We just pray to him. He's a means for our happiness, material happiness. That is Karma Kanda. But here it's not the means, but Krishna is the goal. But we are not fully purified, so we still attached to the fruits and to the work also. We like particular work, we like doing only that work, and then we are attached to the results. So that is Sakamar Karma Yoga. Then the next stage is being completely detached from the fruits, but attached to work, Nishkama Karma Yoga. So some people, they're very attached to their work. They just like doing that work. That's also some attachment, because one particular, it's anything that you specify and you're very much attached to, that's still an attachment, but it's in a much higher level, because you are not attached to the fruits. But in Bhakti Yoga, when you're fully surrendered to Krishna, you are doing work only for Krishna's satisfaction. So whatever work he asks you to do, you're ready to do. So that's the difference. And Bhakti Yogi is detached from the fruits and work and attached to Krishna and works for him. So that's the highest principle. We are ready to do work, and that's why Krishna says, don't be attached to the work, and don't be attached to not doing the work also. And don't be lazy also. But we are attached to Krishna and work for him. So that is the 180 degrees we have to change. From first only attached to the work, the results for oneself, and that is Karma Kanda. If you do some sacrifices, you follow the scriptures, but it's all for yourself. And then Karma Yoga is Krishna becomes the goal.
I have one question here.
Yes.
I can relate to this my life. Earlier, when I was in school, so I was attached to fruits of the work. I wanted to do IIT, but I was so attached. Krishna didn't gave me that. Now, slowly, I was attached to work after MTech, but not might be the fruits. So think means up and downs happened. So attachment also became less. So I think this happens with everyone. So I want to ask, if you are not attached to work or the person or anyone, how will you feel that love and all that? That means what philosophy we have, that means we should not be attached to anything except Krishna. So how we will then survive in this world without love and attachment for anything or anyone?
see that gradually this knowledge will come, realization. Okay. So first, if Krishna is the goal, and he says, okay, you make me the goal. If you're still attached to the fruits, that is fine, and to the work. So first ladder, the first step in the ladder is the Kama Karma Yuga. So you do that, isn't it? That's what you're doing now, isn't it? You're chanting, and I mean, you want to serve Krishna also, so you're doing that. Some fruits you give of your hard-earned work, fruits of that you also give Krishna, and Krishna is your goal. But you're attached to your job, you're attached to the fruits of your job. So that is a Kama Karma Yuga. So while you keep doing and you keep chanting and doing your devotional activities, gradually you yourself will go to the next level, next ladder, next step. Sorry. Okay. You cannot just say, I have to be in the topmost right now. No, nobody is asking you to. You go step by
That
step.
I understood that gradually we goes up the ladder. But I'm saying if we are not attached to any work or not attached to any person, then how will love will flow?
That, see, you have to taste what is spiritual love. That will happen when we work gradually in the mode of goodness. No, Nishkama Karma Yoga. That time you'll understand what is that spiritual love. When you're attached to the I mean, not yet fully detached from the body, you'll not understand what is love, transcendental love.
Okay, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you for your questions. Any other questions? Any comments, any questions, or any sharing? Okay, we'll chant now. Utkarshini Mataji, you have some questions?
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Yes,
Yes.
I
Please.
have written. I am just traveling. I've written only a few questions. I can.
Yeah, come on video.
Yes. Okay, sure. Oh, video.
You don't want to come on video?
No, I'm traveling. That's all.
Oh, it's okay. All right. Okay, you can ask.
Okay. Okay, Mataji was talking about this cow dung, and so like why we get confused, or why it is used as a purifying thing. So whereas usually the excreta of an animal or any living being, we do consider it as achutna. So can anyone tell about it? Hare Krishna. Am I audible? Hare Krishna, am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Hari Bol.
You are audible.
Okay.
Yes, audible.
Okay.
Audible.
So you could hear the question? Could you hear the question?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a controversy it is, no? Hello, Hare Krishna. Mataji, are you there?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, can you please repeat the question?
No. I'm just asking about this cow dung, which is even used for the Lord's Abhishek as a Panchagavya. So whereas other animals, this one, or the stool, any living being, we don't consider it like that, no, like, because we usually even if we touch also we take bath, we do take a bath. So in this way, what have you understood by this?
Hare
What
Krishna
Mataji?
Mataji,
Yes.
we understood that whatever Shastra says, we should accept that and follow that without any doubts in our mind. In Shastras, cow dung has been said pure, so we understood it as pure, whilst others, we do not take it as pure. This is what I understood, Mataji.
Mataji, Hare Krishna, are you there, Mataji? Haribol. Mataji, you're muted.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay, why we should do yajna and all, why should we follow Vedic rituals?
What is the method?
Yeah, what is-
Following yajnas. What is that method called? Just Krishna says you should do
Just one.
sacrifices, so that you will get enough food and everything, all necessities of life. What system of yoga is that? It's not even yoga actually, but it is according to following religious principles. What is that system called?
Varnashrama dharma.
No. Yeah, Varnashrama Dharma, but it's on the lowest step. What is it called? First step. What is it called?
Sakam Karma Yoga.
No, before that. Before Sakama Karma Yoga is what?
Sodharma.
Yeah, it is called, because we are doing karma, no? Karma Kanda.
Yeah.
We want, and then we are just praying to
Hare
the
Krishna.
Lord, we're doing sacrifices so that you get material benefits. That is Karma Kand. And it's prescribed in the Vedas, but it's the first step. Okay. Yes.
We should act and we should do in the mode of goodness. So for this, Mataji gave a nice analogy, nice example. That is to cultivate knowledge. Oh, no, sorry, I'm answering. So can you all answer that? We should act, okay, fine, we have to do. And that should be the mode of goodness.
Controlling the indriyas.
And she gave an example, one small example. Yeah, controlling the Mataji, please.
Controlling the indriyas, no?
Hare Krishna Mataji. It's about cookies.
Yeah.
Children with
the scientific, America, they how the controlling of senses helps one. So through science, they did some experiment on children. So what was the conclusion they came to?
Controlling the senses only, indriyas.
So how did they test that? How did they find out among children?
Using the cookies, Mataji, with the cookie test.
Yes. And then what happened?
Hare Krishna.
And they kept track of the students who were able to control and who were not able to control their senses. Children who were able to control, they rose up to a good position, but instead children who were not able to control, they were not very successful in life. Hare Krishna.
So even modern science is proved whatever Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita, right? You have to control your senses, then only you make progress. Okay. Yeah, Krishna Mataji.
Okay. Okay, we have to cultivate the knowledge and work for okay.
Yeah. Why is
Mataji, please. Why we have to cultivate this
what
knowledge?
is see, okay, Karma Kandi has no knowledge and he just performs work. And what is Karma Yoga?
Hare Krishna Mataji. It's performing all the karmas with Krishna consciousness or keeping Krishna at the center, not respecting or expecting any result for it, giving everything to Krishna.
Yes. So in that, there are three stages, right? What is the first stage of the Karma Yoga?
Sakama Karma
Knowledge
Yoga.
gaining is for its own sake.
Sakama Karma Yoga.
Yeah.
So in Sakama Karma Yoga, one is the goal is Krishna, but is attached to the fruits and the work. Then comes the Nishkama Karma Yoga, where he doesn't it doesn't have desire to the fruits. It's given to Krishna, but is attached to the work. Third one is Bhakti Yoga, which is the supreme. He doesn't have any desire to the attachment to the work or the fruits. His only attachment is the Krishna, and he works for Krishna. These are the three stages of Karma Yoga. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. Very good.
For whom there is no duty.
Huh?
Duty
Pardon?
bound. For whom there is no duty. Is
Yeah.
there's no
Who is the
for whom?
person who is not
Who is the
obliged to do duty? Is not actually required to do. Whoa.
required,
When are we required not to do? I mean, we're not
bound to do it.
obliged to do the duty. When is that?
Hare Krishna, when a person has achieved self-realization, fully satisfied by his act in Krishna consciousness, then no longer he has to perform any duty.
Yes.
Examples were given, some two names. Can you please tell? Like
One is Janak Maharaja.
Mm.
The one.
And who's the second?
Examples were given of Janaka Maharaj, Sri Krishna, and Sri Rama.
Okay. And why did they do, even though they were self-realized, why did they do duty?
Because a human being is a social animal, and we gets inspired and follow. And the great supreme personalities like Krishna and Rama doesn't follow this thing. Tomorrow we will follow the action and not their words, even though they are independent from the karmas. So it is very important for them to inspire us and role model, and we follow that path.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So, okay. I think more or less everything is covered. No? Karshini, do you have any other question?
and just one, two more, Mataji, small.
Okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. How can a devotee be selfless? Hare Bol. Hare Krishna.
If we are doing everything for the pleasure of the Krishna, Krishna is the goal, then the devotee can be selfless.
Yes.
How does Krishna
Yeah.
shows he is independent? Tell with an example, no? Please. How does Krishna shows he is independent?
Hare Krishna. Krishna, for this instance, Mataji shared examples where Krishna has broken the promise during the war, where he told he will be not in any side and will not fight. But Krishna has took the Beel as a weapon to kill Bhishma when Bhishma was overpowering the Arjuna. So this example shows that Krishna is independent. He is not bounded by any rules or regulations.
Yes, Haribol.
Yes, Mataji. Can just 4 levels, can you name them? Not for explanation. Just 4 levels.
The karma
Karmaganda,
ladder.
Yeah, Karma Kanda.
Karmaganda, Sagama Karma, Nishkama Karma, Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah. Sakama Karma Yoga. That is also yoga only. Sakama Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Yes.
That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Shall we just chant 18 times Hare Krishna mantra? How's your chanting going? Anybody want? I mean, everybody is chanted, but here, okay, Shaiju. Okay, shall we chant?
Yeah.
Or
Yes,
all
Mata.
of you are chanting? Okay. Okay, just quickly we'll chant. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Sri
Sri
Krishna
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Okay, let us chant Hare Krishna 18 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone chant together.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
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 Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
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 Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,